Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So on screen we have the party registration data out of Pennsylvania the past 4 election cycles before this one, and Republicans clearly have made some gains from then until now, and it is pretty obvious, and we've kind of seen that in the election results. It was roughly a 1.1 to 1.2 million voter advantage for the Democrats in 2008 and 2012. That was reduced by around 200,000 before the 2016 election. A lot of that did include a lot of ancestral Democrats who already voted Republican switching to be Republicans, and you saw that happen a little bit more between 2016 and 2020, where the margin advantage for the Democrats was cut another 231,000. Now we have a major milestone now that registration has closed. It technically may not be the final update, but given the way things are kind of going, we have our final tally that we currently may have out of Pennsylvania, a state Donald Trump was in over the weekend, spent the entire weekend there. We could talk a little bit about that as well as getting into some of the early data in this video, but again, the Republicans outregistered the Democrats by 15,000, and the Democrat advantage fell below 300,000. It fell into the 290,000 range. This is the first time in decades the Democrat advantage was that small. When it comes to active voters, their advantage is even smaller, which is absolutely huge. And you're looking at this already. Democrats led when Trump won the state in 2016 by 916,000. You see a shift of over 600,000 to the right since then, and nearly 400,000 to the right since 2020. A lot of the shift we saw in that time frame was not like the shifts we saw from 2016 to 2020, when a lot of it was, people just switching their party registration. Maybe they were lifelong Democrats becoming Trump Republicans, which has happened, and we've seen that. So we're going to dive a little bit into this data. What does it mean? What is the state of Pennsylvania looking like right now in terms of the state of the race? But I got to tell you guys really quickly about my merch store over at shop.redeaglepolitics.com. Folks, it's not going to be here for much longer. Maybe about another week or two. So I would encourage you guys to check it out while you guys still have a chance. We've got all these great designs on t-shirts, tank tops, mugs. We're doing a deal for while the store is up and running where you can buy one, get one 20% off all t-shirts, tank tops, and mugs. We got great designs. We got great merchandise. I love this mug, the Trump bullet design on the front, the inspirational quote in the back, high quality. Buy one, get one 20% off, and free shipping for orders over $50 in the United States. So when you look at this, it kind of shows where the momentum is. And Democrats are losing registrations everywhere. And this is a major problem for them, except Colorado, which probably gets even bluer. But you look at Florida, even before 2020, Republicans were gaining, not as much as they gained after 2020, but you saw, in the early vote, it looked a little bit different than what some of the polls were showing, and then Donald Trump won by a bigger margin than most people expected in the state of Florida, and it's like, okay, well, you look at that, and it's like part of that is because of this new surge of, voter registration to that region. We're seeing it across the country, and now you see almost a net 400,000 gain. It's like, yeah, some of that is obviously going to be ancestral Democrats leaving, but not as much as it was between 2016 and 2020 at this stage in the game. So when you see that, you have a lot of new voters, first-time, registrations, and they're all benefiting the Republicans, which is huge, and you have this final push where they're gaining more and more. The goal was to get it to like 330. Now it's in the 290s, and that shows a lot of that, 40,000, whatever. Those people are going to vote. Those are late registrations. They're going to get out and vote more likely than those who, may have registered randomly in 2021, for example, in that time frame. So the fact they're gaining more and they're gaining late shows that, yeah, that's a lot of voters. We'll see what the results are going to be like in terms of the registrations on the final day. I would assume the Republicans would out-register even more, especially given the fact in the final week they even out-registered the Democrats in the collar counties in suburban Philadelphia, which is absolutely huge because you would expect more people becoming Democrat based on the leans of those counties, but we're not seeing that at all, and it is huge. And Donald Trump spent the entire weekend in Pennsylvania. They say he's tired. That's the new tagline. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. He did a rally in Western Pennsylvania on Saturday. He flew to suburban Philadelphia where he worked at McDonald's for a couple hours. Oh, the media is melting down about that too. They're saying Donald Trump didn't actually work at McDonald's. It's like, what, really? You telling me Donald Trump's not on the payroll? Wow, I'm shocked. It's like, oh, it's a photo op. Yeah, it is, and it's a good one. There's nothing wrong with photo ops. Campaigns are full of them. You look at Kamala Harris's campaign, every campaign in existence. Of course, he made it a ploy to go there just so he could dunk on Kamala Harris because she never worked at one. There's no proof. You know, Kamala Harris, if she wanted to own Blumph, she could just say, yeah, I worked at this location. Why is she not saying that? Maybe because she didn't actually work there. You know, they say the burden of proof is on him for some reason. No, the burden of proof is on her. There's no evidence it ever took place. There's no evidence she actually worked there. Kind of a little strange that nobody remembers her, given, you know, how she kind of, you know, came up into politics, became very prominent a while back. But no, it just seems like it's one of those panderous things. And Trump says, you know what, I'm going to go do it. And he did it. Then he did a town hall in Lancaster, which is a sizable county about an hour to the west of Philadelphia there. A lot of Amish people there. Very good town hall. And then he flew to Pittsburgh. He watched the Steelers-Jets Sunday Night Football game with NFL legends Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and I believe Mike Wallace was there too. You know, three great players from the 2000s, 2010s in the case of the former two. And it just huge. And they were out there doing voter registration efforts as well. And I've been talking about that for a while. Like, you need to go to like events where there's a lot of people who might be apolitical, but probably, you know, some of them like Trump, because that's a demographic that Trump can really tap into. A lot of men don't vote, disaffected men, and a lot of them do like Trump, but if they voted, they'd be voting Republican. Got to get them out and vote. So the fact you had those NFL legends registering a lot of people outside the game, it's an absolutely great thing to see, and especially on Donald Trump's behalf, and you see it. And also, we have other data over the weekend, early vote data, the mail-in request update. Once again, Republicans requested more ballots than the Democrats over the weekend. Democrats typically have been doing better on weekends overall, which is interesting. And, you know, they didn't see a ridiculous drop in terms of the returns. This isn't like a ridiculous gain for the Republicans based on mail-ins. We'll see what happens tomorrow for sure. But the fact that you see Republicans outdoing Democrats in the mail request rate, once again, the Democrats have a firewall of requests currently that's sitting at, I believe we could pull this up right here. They have a lead of 522,000. It was like close to 530, and now it's kind of stopped. And Democrats are saying, well, our returns are really good. Yeah, no, they're really not. And that's kind of the main takeaway. It's a lagging indicator. It'll catch up to the requests to a certain extent as time goes on. Democrats have a lead of 63-28. And if you look at 2022, they led 69-21. If you look at 2020, they led 65-23. So already you talk about the percentages. There's less mail overall, especially as a percentage of the electorate, but also it's more Republican than it was before, and a lot of those voters have never voted before, and now they're registered Republicans. They're voting and likely voting for Donald Trump, and you see that. So as the trajectory stands, Republicans are probably going to end up with 31-32% of those requests when it's all said and done. I believe the 29th is the last day to request, and on top of it, the Democrats are probably going to end up with 56, 57%. And the return rates, when it's all said and done, it's probably going to match that. It'll be close to it, which is absolutely huge that the Republicans are eating into that Democrat firewall, or at least they're minimizing the return firewall in the process. Especially, they got to return the ballots. And I tell folks, if you have a ballot, you got to return a ballot. But still, just seeing that happen, yeah, that's huge. And Trump was in Pennsylvania. They, again, are running with this new narrative. Trump is tired. He's not doing interviews, but he's doing more podcasts. He's doing more media appearances one could argue, than Kamala Harris has done over the past month or two. She's the one that needs to be in the spotlight more because she's losing support. It's like a doom loop. She bungles an interview, poll numbers drop, has to go back on an interview, bungles that interview. It's just a cycle of doom, essentially. She should have just stuck with the Biden basement strategy as things stand now. Of course, it's not over, but they're not really getting ridiculous turnout so far, and it kind of shows it in the early vote because people look at this and they're like, well, Democrats have this lead. It's like, well, because Democrats typically are the ones that vote by mail. A lot of Republicans are hesitant to vote by mail, although it's true you can technically go to like the courthouse and vote early in your county. From what I understand, in Pennsylvania, there's not like this widespread in-person early voting like they've even adopted in Michigan, which I, am in support of because it's probably going to help us on net because you have a lot of people that want to vote early but don't trust mail. But that type of Republican typically is going to take advantage of that system. But Pennsylvania, a lot of people are going to wait till Election Day. And if Trump wins the Election Day vote by like, I don't know, just 13 points at the rate things are going, maybe even a little bit less than that, he probably is going to be able to win the state of Pennsylvania, and that's true. And the polling shows it. We look at the polls. You have a lot of Trump numbers in these polls where he's leading. You have some polls that have been wildly inaccurate in the past, like Quinnipiac and UMass and the New York Times, that have Harris in the lead, but you have Trump up in Emerson, Trump up in the Wall Street Journal, Trump up by 3 in Atlas Intel. Rasmussen, does get a reputation for being a right-leaning poll, but it underestimated Trump by 1.8% in the state in 2020. It was the most accurate poll in RCP for Pennsylvania in 2020. So we'll see what happens in other polls we get in the mix. But Pennsylvania is a state that Donald Trump is coming close to, on the verge to flip here. And it's a lot of people think it's so difficult to do. Folks, Joe Biden had a connection with the white working class voters in eastern Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris is not going to get 39%. She'd be lucky to get 36%. Trump probably goes up to 62 already. Boom. Yeah, and that doesn't even take into consideration anything. Yeah, she will probably maybe gain on net with the white college vote, but it's going to likely be offset with her doing far worse with minorities. And where the votes are coming from in the early vote for the Democrats, especially in like Allegheny, it's mainly in those inner suburbs with a lot of white suburbanites with high educational attainments and high incomes, more so than like inner city Pittsburgh, or even seeing the same thing in Philadelphia there. So when you look at this, Donald Trump, he's the favorite in Pennsylvania, and he just made history. Not only did he work at McDonald's in Pennsylvania for a couple hours, but he also made history because now the Republicans are out registering the Democrats at a ridiculous rate down the stretch, which showcases who has the momentum, and the Democrat advantage falling below 300,000 for the first time in decades. People need to get out and vote, make sure that people get out and vote in the state of Pennsylvania. So they're going to be able to go out there and deliver the Keystone State for Donald Trump once again, because if he gets it, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult for Harris to win. She's going to have to run the table, but given some of the early data, if it holds up in some of these other states, I'm not entirely sure she can. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.